Welcome. This is Kat Troulinos from Kat's Home Chat, Living by Design. And welcome. Happy Friday to everyone out there. And just a reminder, we are streaming on 7 sites. And also, you can hear just the audio while you're in travel on podcast now. So you're going to want to stay tuned for this episode. If you've ever wondered or considered what we call virtual staging, and you're going to learn the difference between the two, the pros and the cons, and that's our episode today. So without further ado, I would like to bring on my Ed McMahon, Jeffrey Wong. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Good morning.
Awesome. Okay, everybody's doing awesome. So we have some new audio. So I thank you, Jeff, for up leveling the audio. It should be less echoey, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds very flat.
You sound great. I'm sounding great. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
So. If we have not met, if you don't know me, I'm Kat Troulinos, CEO, founder, and visionary of Ta-Da by Kat. We started out Kat's Home Chat, all things real estate, and really just have a passion for so many other topics on the human condition. So we've graduated into Kat's Home Chat, all things home. And our newest insight is living by design. Because isn't that really what we all want, is to live intentionally, to improve our lives, to learn, love, give, be more than we were yesterday. And so that just opens up a plethora of topics. You've heard me say before, we've had, certainly everything in the gamut of home, design, inspector, realtor, etc. But we also had attorneys. We've had a sex therapist. I'm looking to have an energy expert on how to harness energy, because really when it comes down to it, we are managing our energy, our vibration, and our frequency. Everything is that energy, vibration, frequency, from what you're hearing today, what you're seeing, if you're seeing it, along with a rock, a tree, and what we would think is inanimate objects that are really vibrating and contributing to this human experience. So happy Friday to you, and stay tuned. Please do us a favor. If this is of interest to you, please share it. We're really on a mission to do more live instead of replays. We're in fact, I believe, oh my gosh, this is, do we have a clacker? This is our 100th episode. We need some Foley, Jeff. Where's the clapping?
I can't do it when I have headsets on.
You can't do it? Okay. No. Well, a thumbs up, a golden thumbs up wherever that is. But yeah, we finally made 100 episodes, and that's super, super exciting. We've got some great guests lined up in the next 30 days. If you or anyone you know has a topic that they would like to share, we love to lift up and promote and share with others, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, people who work at home, have a side hustle, you name it. I spoke at a local women's club yesterday, about 50 women, and there's a gal who's going to be coming on and sharing some interesting information on how to preserve and archive our memories, photographs, etc. And she has a very rich background that we'll get into as soon as we select a date for her to join us. So let's dive in. What do you say, Jeff?
On virtual staging? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Okay. So I don't want to alienate anyone who does virtual staging, because, everybody's entitled to their hustle, side hustle, et cetera. If I was a photographer, I certainly would probably try to do that. I would get enough training, software, and equipment that I did it most excellently. But as we know, Jeff, you've been in new home sales and sales, et cetera. We both have sales background. I've got decades of corporate America sales background. But no matter the position, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're a realtor, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a stager, they are not all created equal. And, you know, only you can decide what level, if you want to be the cheapest and go for volume, or if you want to be more of a boutique and, you know, work with less clients, but a higher dollar. But, you know, the bottom line is you choose what your business model is going to be like. I didn't have time to pull photos and a lot of photos in terms of before and after, but I have seen virtual staging that someone has shared on Facebook groups that literally looked, I mean, it was laughable, like Barbie furniture in the room.
You want to explain to people what virtual staging actually is?
Oh, okay, yeah, for folks who don't know.
know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, thanks, Ed. Thanks, Jeff.
Well, I'm drinking already.
So I think virtual staging right now, with all the talk and hoopla and inundation of AI, it's really just another level of AI, right? Which so much of our life is. You know, we're seeing this increased thing, you know, talking heads and videos and scary stuff where people can duplicate your voice, and that opens up a whole another realm. But virtual staging is number one, it's fake staging. It's photographs of staging. So, you know, and again, there can be examples that look like Barbie furniture. And then on the other hand, there can be some really, real looking staging done well. So what is the benefit? Let's talk about the benefits, Jeff, first. So the benefits of using virtual staging, if you find that a benefit, is number one, it's cheap. Okay. So it's much cheaper than, you know, a staging company actually, you know, designing a room, selecting items, packing them up, loading them up, and creating a model home look. Okay. The flip side of that is that most photographers, unless they segued from staging to photography, they're not stagers. So we see really bad examples in terms of space planning. And I've got a picture I'm going to share here later. It's not the greatest, it's because it's kind of small, but you'll be able to see, you know, flow. When folks see pictures online, which that's your first showing, whether you're a realtor or a seller, the first showing is on site or on site, because over 90% of folks are going to look where first? They're going to look online. So if it doesn't look great, or if it looks wonky, or, you know, they can't imagine themselves living there because it's done poorly, they're going to go to the next home. Would you agree, Jeff?
Well, yeah. The thing I really think we need to touch on too, regards to virtual staging, is that there's a concept and idea paradigm from sellers that, hey, you know, we need to show something in this space.
Yes.
But, you know, staging to bring in all the stuff, as you mentioned earlier, requires a budget, because it's bringing in the full, you know, staging furnitures and decors and so
There's
forth.
a lot of moving parts and pieces, which is why virtual staging is so, you know, some people think, and I think I told you, I've gotten 2 calls. They were referred to me. So I think there's a lot of education opportunity out there, because these were realtors who were referred saying, oh, I'm referred to you. You're supposed to be one of the best. But did they not know I don't do virtual staging? And did they not know that virtual staging is not like actual staging? So
well, I think most people are not aware, you know.
That's what made me realize with 2 phone calls that people are not aware that it's apples and oranges, you know, completely apples and oranges. So I just want to touch
well,
on.
so here's
Go
the
ahead.
argument would be, is it better to have virtual than not have anything at all? So address that.
I will address that. Okay. In my never to be so humble opinion, I'm going to say it's better not to have it at all. The only exception in my going on 13 years doing this, Jeff, has been where I will come in and stage, let's say it's a 5,000 square foot home, and we stage all the key rooms, but there's a beautiful outdoor space that they don't have a budget for us to bring in sofas and chairs and outdoor living, or there's an odd secondary bedroom that they don't want to pay the extra money, but they want to show, oh, you can get a day bed and this could be a little mother-in-law quarters. You could get a sofa, what have you, to augment it with virtual staging. And to me, that's the only exception I think that will work. And let me just dive right into why it doesn't work. And you've heard me say, Jeff, that I get a call at least once or twice now that we're picking up season-wise, twice a month from someone who has gone with virtual staging, again, because it's inexpensive and, they know, we got to show something in there. It's just blank, vacant, and it hasn't worked for them. Okay. So, they dipped their toe. They didn't have a huge investment, but the bottom line is it did not get the results that they were hoping for. And why do you think that is, Jeff?
The results they didn't get looking for is due to the fact that, you're looking at a picture, you're investing in an image in your mind now. And then when you're at the actual location to look at this, that picture is altered when you walked in because it's not the same thing you had in your mind.
It's blank.
So
it's vacant.
Yeah, so I really do believe, the buyer's mentality and paradigm is that, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what I remember. So first thing is doubt. It comes in your mind as, okay, is this a bait and switch? What's going on? I'm not sure.
I've been duped. You're spot on there. They feel duped. Someone in one of my courses through the years had put it this way, and I thought it was so adept. They said it's kind of like, someone proposing to you of marriage and never giving you the ring. So, and why is that? Because again, statistics, Jeff, support that 89% of potential buyers cannot visualize the space without furniture, how they're going to live. And, buyers justify price with emotion. Do you think an empty home creates the emotion that a staged home does?
No, you and I both know that if we walked a potential buyer into a vacant home, the first thing they do is they look around. They literally look around.
And they start looking
they have no idea, right?
They start looking at blemishes too, which is why my investors are getting so wise, because there's no home that's perfect, really. All homes have some kind of flaw. But when you're doing a renovation and you're a flip, there may be, some, drawers that don't open right, or, different things that need to be fixed. When it's empty, that's all they can do is look at the flaws, right?
Well, I think there's that. Because it's so easy to just look at flaws when there's nothing there, right? But the key thing really is that depends on the floor plan, that the type of home, the year it was built, the style that was going on, and all that. Is that the placement of what this room does? What is the function of this big room?
How will I live? The question potential buyers are subliminally asking themselves is, can I see myself living here? And, I've talked about this before, Jeff, but it's worth repeating because it's just so poignant. We love our open concept homes, right? And I love them because as a designer, decorator, and stager, I can create zones and spaces where 90% of the people out there have no idea. When I walk in for occupied homes, Jeff,
Yeah.
90% of the time, the furniture is all shoved up against the wall because people are challenged with, they don't, as I had a client tell me recently, I just don't have that gene. I don't have that decorating gene. And so it's easier just to like look at the walls and put everything up against the walls, which looks odd. It doesn't look welcoming. It doesn't create that feeling of connection.
Right.
There's no conversation area. There's no focal point, that kind of thing. Let me pull up this slide. And I apologize, it's not the best of slide.
I can't see it.
Can you say it? Well, I got a little arrow here. I'll use my cursor so folks can kind of see. So this, and I've scratched out the name here. This is the before, which if you look, see if I can make this bigger.
Well, I have a huge screen, so I can see.
Oh, you do? Okay, I just made it bigger on my screen. So you can see this is a pass-through kitchen. This is definitely not optimal to have your sofa, blocking that, right? That's one thing that's wrong with this. Second thing that's wrong is the coffee table is too high. I just talked about 6 common mistakes in living room for the ladies yesterday, and one of which is your coffee table should not be more than 1 to 2 inches lower or higher. Now that's from an aesthetic standpoint for staging, but even more so from a functionality standpoint for convenience and ease of actually using the coffee table. So this is the after, okay? And, clearly this virtual staging provider, and as so many of them are, not trained in placement, design, color, and staging. So, this is just one example where they said, okay, well, let's block the pass-through kitchen even more, and let's add a side table to block it even further. Right. So I think most people would agree that's not the best use of placement. And so this is so common, Jeff, with virtual staging, is that it does not showcase the proper placement, and even they can use the wrong color palettes because they're not trained in color. So you may see something that has cool colors in the fixed elements, let's say the backsplash or curtains or what have you, and the virtual staging provides a contrast in colors that just looks off-putting. And again, to their defense, they're not trained in color. So, that can be an issue. So how do I get out of here? Exit full screen. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to leave that up for a second. And let's talk about, I want to talk about the biggest benefit. So number one, besides it's cheap, very cheap to have virtual staging.
Well, how cheap is it cheap?
Well, I don't want to quote, because just as staging, depending on what part of the country, et cetera, and what you're getting, but I've seen as little as inexpensive as $25 to $100 a photo. So that's pretty.
Okay, so
pretty cheap.
When we're looking at average MLS listing, what is the maximum photo? Is it 40?
I think it's up to 50 now.
50?
And if any realtors are watching, please correct us. But yeah, I think it's up to 50.
So even at $25 a pop at 10, $250, 20 and 500. So it's not really that cheap, is it?
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't do every room, but and again,
this is what I saw too. Let me bring this up. I thought it was really deflating that somebody actually did virtual staging on, let's say, the first 10 photos, and then the rest of the photo gallery was empty. Have you seen that?
Okay, well, Jeff, let me just elaborate on that, because when we do key room staging for vacant, also, the main rooms will be staged, and then they will show the other rooms
I get that.
Vacant. So that's not unusual.
What I'm saying is virtual staging. I mean, yeah, you shoot the pictures that you have your room staged, and then you go to secondary rooms and there may be, nothing. maybe a wall art or whatnot. But what I'm saying is that there's people that actually had a listing I remember seeing that you would see the living room, the kitchen, and what master that is virtually staged. Then as you move on the photo gallery, they'll show you the same room, not staged.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just
So let
empty.
me address that. Let me address that as a trained realtor, also not practicing full time, just for friends and family. But so that is an MLS requirement. It is also a requirement that, and not every agent does this, but you're supposed to say this is virtually staged. So that's a requirement that you have to put this staged room, and then you have to show it as it actually is, and you have to note that it is virtually staged. So I'm sure, Jeff, that's a good comment that you brought up, though, because that they probably, regulated that because of, the disgruntlement of going, hey, you're fooling us. You're representing it this way, and I come out there and it's this way. So now they have to at least disclose it. Does it change the fact that when people show up, they don't feel the space? No, but they've at least disclosed it. So yeah, that's a regulation. I don't know every part of the country, but in for HAR and MLS, it's an MLS ruling that they have to show that. So here's another second benefit. So it's cheap. We all know, we have a saying, cheap staging is rarely, or I'm sorry, how does that go? Cheap staging is rarely good, and good staging is rarely cheap. Right?
That goes with everything.
That is with everything, right? Whatever you do, a plumber, a doctor, a lawyer, a widget maker, that's with everything. It absolutely is. So inexpensive is one. The second benefit, and I think this is where homeowners and realtors get confused with the smoke, is it does bring people out there, as opposed to it being vacant, which they're just going to be swiping through, going blank walls, blank walls, blank walls for a lot of it, unless there's really something, it's out in the water, there's something really that stands out to make it unique. But it will get you more showings than a vacant space. And again, and then the flip side of that, just like we talked about, the flip side of cheap anything is cheap product, is that they're feeling duped, right?
Yep.
That they're feeling disappointed, and in some cases pissed off.
Well, I think it's just an empty letdown. When you're expecting something, like same thing with buying used cars, right? If you see a picture and you show up in a lot, and all of a sudden that car doesn't look anything.
It's like a switch. What did you call switch and bait or whatever?
Yeah, it's a switch and bait. Or I really do believe that when it comes down to situations where you're getting somebody excited, emotionally charged, this is key for everybody who's doing this. That if you can't keep that energy up when they walk in that room, then you lost your purpose. This is absolutely going against and counterproductive. Right?
And thank you for mentioning that, Jeff. We talked at the top of the show. Everything is about energy and us managing our human, energy in this human experience. It's energy and vibration and frequency. And definitely that is diminished. We've got our excitement and our energy and our hope built up, and then we walk out to an empty space, and it's deflated. It's deflated like a balloon. Because studies support this. NAR has done studies, many other studies, excuse me, that almost 90% of folks are challenged with imagining how a space is going to look.
Right.
I don't know if I'm quoting Barb Schwartz, if you're watching Barb, creator of home staging, but one of her Barbisms, as I call it, is people don't buy what they don't see.
Yeah.
They don't buy what they don't see. If you don't show them, they don't see it, and they're not going to be able to imagine it, how it's going to be.
And keep in mind, too, if somebody's out there who's a prospect and buying a house, chances are the agent is not showing them one house, right?
Oh my
So
gosh. Yes.
where is your leverage as seller if you walk in a home and they go, well, this isn't what I remembered? Strike one. Two
Strike
is,
one.
what is that room over there? No space understanding or design. So that's a strike two, right? Because all of a sudden, what was exciting maybe was one of the top two out of the six you're looking at. Now, when you walk in a room, you don't have that same excitement. You're no longer top two. You're going to
Yep.
get shoved back to the bottom of that list. And this is just by your behavior. Don't think this is a propaganda or a sales pitch. I'm telling you flat out of 20, 30 years of sales to know how buyers behave. If they, in their mind at that point, have been relieved of the excitement, been disturbed in regards to their enthusiasm and what their expectations are. And that's key. Buyer's expectation. If you're losing that, you're losing the battle with that prospect.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good point, Jeff, because that's where there's that huge letdown is that I expected this. Wait a minute, that's not what I'm getting. And then
right.
I want to piggyback on another point you made. You know, when I used to work for a builder 14 plus years ago, I would have realtors come into my model home and say, oh yeah, this is the 23rd home. We're on speed shopping, which many people are. They have a short window of time. They're relocating for a new job, a promotion, a demotion, whatever is causing them to move. And they have a short window. And so, realtors are showing them one house after another. So not only is there that emotional and expectation aspect, but there's that memorable aspect. And
that's right.
And this is one thing that I pride my, team and our services on. You've heard me say before, I'm not a stager that does bowls of oatmeal. I have 3 color certifications, and I use color and I use it well. Now, does that mean that, let's see, we did $1 million home with one of my gorgeous green sofas with white leather club chairs, etc. Does that mean that they are going to, that's what they have as a green sofa? No, but it looked gorgeous. It was memorable. And it says, oh, I can live here. And this is the lifestyle that I would like. I think a lot of people are afraid to use color, and I'll give you an example. You know this story, Jeff, when I worked for a builder here in Houston, and the market was downturn in 2009. And I was charged with liquidating spec homes that were on the ground. So we closed down model homes. So we had no sizzle. We took the sizzle out of the steak. And here we had, builder B, who was fully loaded as a model home. And I had to compete against that. That's actually when I got into I said, hey, we need to stage. What's staging? Here's, and back then we did vignette staging, which we don't do today. It's really grown and elevated since vignette staging. But the bottom line is people don't buy what they don't see. So my manager came to me and I said, look, we've got to get rid of this carpet for this price point, which at that time they were in the 300s. I said, people are walking in, the realtors are showing them, a half a dozen or a dozen homes, and they all have hardwood, and they walk in and go, ooh, carpet. So even though, we would have switched it out, we would have negotiated. My manager even came up with the idea, I've got a great idea. Let's go to the design center and we'll put samples of wood. Because I told them, look, let's just put in hardwood. Oh, no, we don't know what color they'll like. And if they like it, the size and this and that. So we put samples out for several months. Do you think that worked?
No, never worked.
It didn't, because again, people are looking at the samples and they can't see it. They don't buy what they can't see, even though we're telling them we'll put the wood in. Just pick it. It didn't work. So the next next 3-4 homes we built, we put the wood in, 4-inch, coffee espresso, hard plank, yada, yada, sold like that.
Yeah.
Because they could see it. They walk it, they could see it, they could feel it.
That's
and
right.
they bought it.
Right.
Yeah. It's just amazing that the concepts and the studies and everything are just so true. You see it time after time after time. You know, really, I don't care what we are buying as consumers, from pizza to Learjets, there's an emotional factor
Always
involved.
Yeah. And let's just, I'll add this too from the buyer perspective. If we're looking for a home and my agent or on my own decide to do research on a certain community zip code, and I'm printing out 20 to 30 possibilities, I don't want to be overwhelmed when I'm going to visit. I want the so-called angel singing effect. Exactly. That's what I'm looking for as a buyer.
Right? Or Jeff, could it be? Ta-da!
Yeah, there's that too, right? Because you and I both know, if we're walking in with an agent to a house, and the first house we see is just meh, it is oatmeal, it's just not my taste. First thing is, you're not even buying the furniture, but your mind goes into, do I fit what I'm looking at? You see what I mean?
Yes. Do I relate?
Right. Do I relate what I'm looking at? So there's a key to emptiness or vignette staging, why it doesn't have the same effect. Vignette staging is throwing a plant in the corner with an easy chair or something and calling that living room.
And a picture leaned up against the fireplace.
That's
and
right.
I know,
and I've done plenty of those in my
that was done back in the day. I had a realtor recently ask me, you do that? And I said, I'm not going to take your money for that, because it really will do. It's not going to get you the results that you're looking for.
Right.
I'd rather you just do one room and let's make it look like the family, like a model home, than spend time and money on a bunch of, surface decor that's really not going to get the job done.
Right. Absolutely. And the funny thing is, I've worked at Builders Row. You've worked at Builders Row. We had multiple, staged model homes to the hilt. And now, as a staging professional company, we could pretty much say, when we step back and look at this, is builders don't know how to stage. They overpile stuff in a room.
Well, and I've talked about that. Could be a whole nother episode, Jeff.
Yeah.
I think builders are getting, especially the smaller builders, are doing what I call model home light. Because back in the day, it was they hired design companies, and they made more money the more stuff they put in the model. That was really a double-edged sword for sales managers like myself, because people would walk in and they see this stuff that's, custom murals and custom options and all this customization. And then I would walk down the street to show them the same plan, and they're like, oh no, I don't like it. It's the same plan, but everything's an option.
Well, I had a VP in a builder that she wanted to be the stager for all the model homes. So it was her side, I don't know, enthusiasm, hobby, or whatever. But the amount of stuff and the placement of the stuff will blow your mind on how horrible it was. Like, you have a tricked out model home, but yet you walk in the kitchen, there's a fax machine sitting on the counter.
Oh, well, that's just bad planning.
Well, no, that just tells you that everybody thinks they can do something because they see the picture or they hear about it, but they really don't know. Like this.
There's a lot of hobbyists. There's a lot of hobbyists out there, and those are the ones that, quite honestly, people will go with them because they can get the cheapest. Now, will they be in business in 5 years? Probably not, because it costs a lot of money. I've spent my, corporate America 401k on my investment in our investment in inventory and building the business.
My point was that this is somebody in the building business, and they think just because they're in the building business, they know what they're doing, which they did. And then on top of that is, you're talking about builders light, right? how would you even do virtual staging with that kind of concept? You
No,
couldn't.
no, not you couldn't for a builder. You absolutely couldn't because they need to
Right.
walk in the model home. Yeah.
Right. So what would it be even worse if you did a nice virtual staging and then you did model home light in person? Would that be a bigger bait and switch opposed to you just walking into an empty room?
You're talking for a builder?
Yeah, instead of doing vignetting, which you and I know that's how one time the builder's
Well, your
world
big
was.
production builders, Jeff, I really think they need to do all the bedrooms. They just don't need to saturate it with so many customizations because, again, consumers are feeling duped. Like, well, this is your, ABC plan. Oh, and I used to have to walk around the mall going, that larger pantry, that's an option. Oh, that bungalow, oh, that's an option. Well, that's an option. So what was the base price is now $100,000 more because everything's a frickin' option. Not to mention the custom murals, all the custom tchotchkes in each room. So when I say model home light, for small builders, we've done like just the main rooms, the main key rooms, maybe 5-6 rooms: kitchen, dining room, living room, study, maybe the patio, and not the secondary bedrooms unless there was an issue like, oh, this is really small, we need to show them something fits. That's how I suggest they get the biggest bang for their buck. But your big production builders, because number one, it's going to be there probably for a year or longer. I think it's definitely in their best interest to have all the rooms staged, but they can save a ton of money. I'm talking a ton of money to have it done by a stager as opposed to a designer, because again, you have to look at the motivation. The designer's paid by every single thing they shove in there. So of course they're going to shove more stuff, in there. I talked about this yesterday in talking to some local women, and that is the difference between design and staging. Staging is marketing. Right. It's marketing to the sociographic demographic for the home, and designing is personal. It's, good design, in my opinion, is like receiving a warm hug. It should when you walk in, and that's very personal to you. So it should speak about the home owner, when you're doing design. So Jeff, a lot of good discussion here. We are at about 37 minutes. I'm going to play this short, I think it's 2 minutes, my video business card. And I think if I recall, it talks about 5 reasons why you want to stage. So we've already kind of, chewed and masticated on the virtual staging versus real staging. If you have any questions or if you need a good virtual stager, I have a gal who is amazing, who does excellent, we're talking top tier virtual staging if you need it for a patio or a game room or something like that. But I'm going to play this virtual business card, and then we can kind of sign off after that, Jeff.
No, you can go ahead and sign off for me.
Your home
now
or in the near future? Before you throw away precious equity down the drain and live to regret it, I'd like to share with you 5 reasons why you need to stage your space, whether living in it or selling it vacant. Hello, I'm Kat Troulinos, President, Master Staging Professional, and CEO of Ta-Da by Kat Next Level Staging and Design. Number 1, you need to stage because you'll make more money. According to the National Association of Realtors, more than 5 to 20% more
That's a good reason.
Staged. Number 2, so buyers can visualize the staged property as their next home. Stage because, number 3, not staging will only help sell your competition stage homes. Successful realtors know that the key to competing is professional staging because it creates great online presentations, drives buyer traffic to the home, and brings the highest offers. Number 4, stage because it makes the home seem larger when strategic placement and flow are created with proper staging. And number 5, stage because then you can relax knowing you've done everything possible to get a quick sale, not leave any money on the table. Let our award-winning team bring the magic of next-level staging to your property today. Be prepared to be ta-da'd. You'll be glad you did.
What?
I forgot about those good points. Those are some good points. That making the space look larger is another one. So thank you for watching. If you know anyone who could benefit from this, again, please help us out. We want to keep delivering content to you and unique guests with folks that are going to share their magic and genius with you. And happy Friday to you. Our sign off for this year has been love more, because that's all there is love. Give more of whatever, your time, your money, whatever you have, your creativity, and be more. And go out and do something different this weekend. You'll be glad you did. Thanks so much, Jeff. Appreciate you.
100. We
100.
did 100.
Episode.
Everybody have a great